If you're in your 20s trying to figure out who you are, what you want, and how to show up despite who's talking, this video is for you. This is everything I've learned so far about building a dream life that you actually want to turn into reality. So let's get right into the video. Naturally, I'm a content creator, so if you do not want to create content, apply this to what you want to do. I can only speak to my experience. Start before you're ready, especially with content. No one starts confident. Everyone has to start somewhere. Regardless if they've had a leg up, they start somewhere. Someone has to figure out what looks good for them, what's their flow, what's their frequency, who's around them. That's all a part of the journey. I feel like the biggest reason why we don't show up for ourselves because we're so scared of who might see us, or worse, who might not see us. Because what if we put in all this effort just to get 10 views or 4 people interested or 3 people retweet or repost it? If people watch or not, it doesn't matter. Did you show up for you? Did you see something new for you? There is this creative that I've watched on YouTube, Vanessa Lau, and she has talked about having a one for you, one for me, and one for life. And while that may apply for content, it is a great way to start looking at life. One for me, which means I'm going to feel fulfilled if I put this piece of content out, or I feel fulfilled if I do this thing that maybe not everyone likes to do. One for you, so you is subjective. That could be for your boss, your friend group, like maybe you're not interested. Like it could be small things as far as I might not like sushi, but I'll go out because the friend group, I love growing with them and it's just a great way to connect. But I know I'm gonna get my one for me and go get some Italian, whatever that may look like. And then one for life. Something that you really want to leave behind legacy wise. Like a lot of the video and contents that I create is based off of someone viewing their life and thinking I can have more for myself. There is nothing that can't be for me. That is your one for life, or whatever that may look like for you. Maybe you give information online to financial literacy. Maybe you start a book club for people in underprivileged and underserved communities. Whatever that looks like for you, that is one for life. That's your legacy. So hopefully that gives a little bit more insight into starting before you're ready and what that can look like if you don't know where to start. Number 2, your job is what you do, not who you are. This might be a hot take, but I don't care. Do not tie your self-worth to your title. It is a slippery slope because with one bad week of content or one bad week of analytics or performance or data, it will truly break you. And I feel like society has really conditioned us to be like, you are your work. So if you fail, you're a failure. And that's not true. Work hard, but don't let your entire identity be tied around your job title. Because worst comes to worst, if you're working for an employer at any time, your job is always at risk. No matter how secure you've been in the company, no matter how long you've been a part of it, no matter how long you've been doing it. If you're not working for yourself, you're always at risk of losing anything you've built for someone else. Build a life that exists outside of your 9-to-5. People, hobbies, anything that is separate from what you do. So for example, if you are a software engineer, I don't know why I always use software engineer. Maybe in another life I am one. We're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. You're a software engineer. Don't let your life be tied around the work that you do just because it's strenuous, tedious, takes a lot of time. When you have time for you, figure out what shows you like to watch. Figure out what activities you don't like. Figure out what foods make you cringe. Figure it out. Number 3, work-life balance is not a myth. It is a boundary. Turn off the work notifications. I know this kind of ties in a little bit to number 2, but seriously, if you are not literally in the business of saving lives, it can wait until tomorrow. It will be there tomorrow. I am so passionate about this. Now, there are some things where you just like, you're really about your work and you're like, I do like this and I don't mind taking an extra hour, but I know I'm going to take an extra hour later in the week because I spent time out of my day to do more of this. If you are not in the business of saving lives, do not act like everything is an emergency. And what's important is that you don't make someone else's emergency, or don't make someone else's crisis your emergency. Don't make yourself constantly available. Availability isn't valuable. It can help you in certain situations, and I'm definitely take this with a grain of salt, because there are some workplaces where they see you consistently showing up and that might be rewarded. But if it's at the cost of your health, that is not the case. Work will always be there, and there will always be an opportunity to build someone else's brand, again, if you're not building your own. But you have to create a boundary, and what that may look like is truly creating notifications after 5:30 p.m. Maybe you want the extra 30 minutes because you're trying to cycle out of that habit. I don't get any more notifications until 9 a.m. the next morning when I show up to work. Period, point blank. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Number 4, making friends as an adult is hard, but worth it. For whatever reason, after college or maybe just after high school, whatever your level of education stopped at, when you become an adult in your 20s and onward, it is hard finding friends. Trust me, I know this very well. I've always kind of grown up where I didn't really have a specific group that I fit in. I could kind of float around and just be like, hey, how's it going? Like really kumbaya with like everybody, for lack of better words. But as you get into your adult life, it gets tougher because your career becomes a little bit more prominent or a little bit more demanding. You move out of state. You just, there's different routines and flows for it. But what can help is starting with shared activities. So there are plenty of apps that are safe. Remember, stay safe. Different areas of just your personal life where you can truly meet new friends. The gym, church, coffee shops, content circles. Like there is a variety of ways that you can truly meet new people. And it may not be your best friends. They may not be people you hang out with all the time, but maybe they're people that give you a break from what you know your life to be all the time. And that's okay too. However, to keep a friend, you have to be a good friend. So be the person who follows up. If you had coffee with a friend and maybe you guys are both a little introverted, or maybe you're both extroverted and life just gets in the way because you're just pouring into so many different cups, be like, hey, next week or next month on this date, I'm really excited to see if we can go to that new movie together, or we can create a group where all of us get together and go roller skating. Like, I don't know what it is, but be intentional. That's something that I'm personally working on. That is not my strongest suit. Like, I can find ways to fill my time, truly. But being a better friend is always going to be great because it helps you be a better person overall if you know that you're trying to service that part of your life too. Vulnerability builds connection. Like for me, I always want to create videos that people can really relate to because these are life experiences or things that I have no problem speaking on that maybe others would be shy to talk about. Vulnerability creates connections, and I am consistently reminded of when I open up or when they open up. Of course, not your whole life story, but they feel a sense of authenticity through it, and that is something you can't buy or fake. People want to be invited in, don't you? Number 5, you can grow in a relationship without growing apart. This is one of my favorite pieces to talk about for this video because there was a time in my life where I would attach myself to my partner, and I had a very avoidant, anxious attachment style, if you're familiar with that, and it just makes you feel like I cannot do anything without my partner. But the healthiest relationship that I've been in and currently still are in is when we have so much time together where we're still spending a lot of intentional moments learning each other, getting to know each other's different activities and hobbies, and just being really intentional overall, but having a couple days, or a day or two throughout the week where we're like, okay, we're gonna go do our own thing, figure out like what life looks like, because God willing, there's gonna be a lot of time in marriage to continue growing in that space. But right now, we're still trying to figure out who we are. And that's gonna be an ever evolving process, but it's so much more fun when you realize, okay, this day reset, this 2-day reset, it gets me pumped and excited for what's next for us. Healthy love makes room for evolution. And I don't think 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said that. I would have been like, nope, we're hanging out all the time. And it's not to say that I don't do that now. But it just means that even in those moments, we can take a couple hours apart from each other, a couple days apart from each other, and be like, okay, we're still keeping up with each other. We're not going days without talking. But it just means I'm being intentional about what I want to see for my life. You're doing the same. And we just continue to grow from there. Number 6, lean on God, and not just when your life is falling apart. I have been the biggest person to do this. I will admit that until the stars fall. Include God into your day-to-day, not just when you need something, because when you truly pray about the most small things, you can see how God just works in your life. Sometimes, and this might be TMI, but low-key, sometimes I pray to God, like, please help me get out of this bathroom so I can make it to work on time. Y'all, we are in our healthy era. We're doing things. And so our body's also doing things. And sometimes I'm just like, God, please. I know that's probably the worst and smallest example to use, but even in the medium to big size things, like, God, please help me to not feel so stressed about this. I don't know what's to come ahead, but please don't let me act out. Like, it can be that small or that big. Do not limit God to your mindset. Number 7, romanticize your life, especially the ordinary parts. If you're cleaning your room, light a candle, make a playlist, put on a YouTube video in the background that's 20 minutes. This one. Find ways to make it really, really exciting, or as exciting as the task could be. But don't just do the task if you feel like this is just like, I'm dragging my feet trying to finish this. Number 8, and I think this one's probably one of the more important ones, healing family wounds doesn't always mean a reunion, but most times it means peace. Closure isn't always a conversation. Let's be really transparent first. It is a decision. It's a decision to really truly show up for you and know, if I can never see what I would in a perfect world like to see with this person, this group of people, this experience, I know that I have peace and I can sleep better at night knowing that I have let go of this. I've truly let go and let God, because I just can't do more, at least in this season of my life, or maybe this is what it's meant to be. But that is the closure you need to give yourself. And that looks like also inviting God into those conversations, asking him day after day, time after time, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to see more with my life and to want to be better. I need help here. I need help there. Gotta ask for help. And you have to actively work on healing those wounds. If not, they show up in other areas of your life unintentionally. Forgiveness is not for them. It's always for you. And honestly, how many times a day does God forgive you? This is not to be like, oh, look at this, God does this, God does that. But seriously, there have times where I've looked back at my life and I'm like, I did not deserve to come out the way I did in that situation, but God, thank you. Thank you for truly continuing to show up for me, forgiving me, helping me come to my senses. I could get on my soapbox about that, but that's another video for another day. Number 9, you're always evolving. Do not box yourself in. Where you are now is not your final form. I don't know who told you that this is as best as it gets, or this is as good as it gets, or the glory days are behind you, but they're not. Like, how do they know? They're still living their life just as much as you are. We're all living life for the first time. You can pivot careers, styles, friend groups, hobbies, interests, literally everything you can pivot by the grace of God. It doesn't mean you failed either. You're allowed to outgrow things you once prayed for. There were moments in my time, like, this is probably not the best example, but I was trying to find, good sermons to watch. I wanted to find a church home eventually. I wanted to do all these things. And I found one pastor for one season of my life. It was great to watch him. Now, can't really even see myself really being there, just because the messages don't resonate with me anymore. But now I've gone into a season where I seek it more. And that was always going to be the goal. So the same thing can happen for you. And number 10, your dream life is not a single passion. It's a full, honest life. Try everything. Be a content creator. Go take a coding class. Become a painter, then a project manager. I know I'm keeping it very occupation based right now, but that can apply to hobbies and activities too. Try golf. Try frisbee. Try swimming. You're constantly going to be evolving. There's not going to be one version of yourself that you are going to be for the rest of your life. And you have to remember, the people that you meet, they are the ones that have perceptions of you. You have all these different pieces of you. So your friends at work, they may know you as someone who loves playing basketball and you love doing painting on the weekends and you love festivals. The people at your church may know you as someone who always has the best playlist, is a little quiet, kind of to themselves. Your family knows you as the goofiest person around, literally around the clock. You're making people laugh. And that's just because in different environments, we show up as different people in different seasons of our lives. And I think ever since I've learned that seasons are a part of who we are, just like the ones around us, it has truly helped me see that I am not one-dimensional. There are so many layers to me that I'm so blessed to be able to peel back and see and experience. Building your dream life will always mean living it, not just chasing it. The chase will always be there. There's always going to be opportunity and room for more. But will you sit still long enough in a season? Still taking action, sit still is rhetorical, kind of subjective. Will you sit still long enough in a season to see the prayers you once prayed for actually come true? Don't want you to forget that the journey is just as important as the destination. And if you so focus on, I want to be here by this date, by this time, it's great to have goals, right? Write them down, seriously. But if June 15th comes and you did not reach that goal at that time, erase or cross it out and write a new goal. It doesn't change just because the timeline came. It just means you keep creating action, creating different things with it, and eventually you're gonna be like, oh, this already happened. So don't limit yourself and understand that this takes time. So these were 10 things that I have learned so far in my 20s, and I hope to continue doing more things like this if this is really helpful. So I need you guys to leave this comment below if you stayed until the end of the video, and let me know in the comments if you like content like this. It keeps you motivated, keeps you disciplined, because I want to create, again, one for you, one for me, and one for life. That is just a motto that has truly changed the way that I create content, and it's really, really, I feel like, gonna help both you and me in this growing journey. So I'll see you guys on the next episode of Party of One Podcast. Peace.